Folks, I want to shoot a little addendum, get a little closer so the sound is good. I want to shoot a little addendum to our assembly video which I shot, instead of redoing the whole thing because it's rather lengthy. Right here, the fuse, which is in your black tool bag. You all know what that looks like. At any rate, the 20 amp fuse, I want you to go ahead and put it in here. Now watch, we're gonna have a little bit of excitement here. They started to take these out for shipping. That was not occurring when I made the original video. So now you're gonna see a little spark or pop. Woo! Hello, it's fine. There you go. If you notice, it's a discharging of a capacitor. I can prove it to you. If I pull it out, you see the fuse is fine. It's DC. If you notice, it's not doing it again because that capacitor discharged. But at any rate, we thought we'd add a little bit of excitement, get your blood pumping when you're doing the installation. So when you get to this part, when you take the battery cover off in the video, go ahead and install your fuse so that you don't have to pull it back off and say what in the world's going on. Enjoy, watch the video step by step. You'll have no problems putting this thing together. Thank you. I thought I would make a quick video on how to assemble this very easily. Obviously, I put a lot of these together, so I thought I'd give a couple of helpful hints and alleviate any confusion that people might have as to what goes where. As with most of our videos, I decided to do it just now and got my cell phone out. I surely would have combed my hair better had I known I was doing a video, but nonetheless. Okay, what we've done in the interest of time, we've unwrapped everything. We took the plastic off just for the interest of time of the video and laid our parts out very neatly. You have all the tools that you need to assemble these scooters. I will be using power tools because this is not my first barbecue and I do a lot of these. But at any rate, you don't need power tools. Now, a little hint. When you open these boxes, by the way, folks, let me help you with that. Grab the long part and just don't be afraid if it breaks here, okay? You pry it up, then pry these up, and then just bend it off. Be very careful of the staples, okay? So at any rate, you guys will get that. Little hint, in the box, you'll see this holds the tires. This becomes very handy. Rip one of these off like so, and this is why. I use it as a jig to set underneath of the base. Next step, I take off these, I lay them right here. As I said, everything's been unwrapped with the exception of this. Make sure that these are backed out. Do not take them out, they're kind of hard to get back in, but just make sure that they are not protruding on the inside. The next thing that I do, and I'm glad this fell off because that happens about 1 out of 20 times. So if you get this little rubber ring, I want to show you where it goes. Next thing that I do, I go ahead and place my front end into the back end like this. If you have one of little rubber ring like this floating around, it's a bushing that goes right here. Sometimes it comes off in shipping, but anyway, that's a little bushing. The next step that I do, and this is an important trick, I take the throat assembly. I release the pressure clamp and I go ahead and bend it. And here's why. If you put this in first, you will not be able to get this in because this isn't long enough. So, what we do, I almost make a mistake. We go ahead and put the handlebar into the throat assembly like so. Then we go ahead, we make sure it's oriented the proper way. We go ahead and we place this part, you see how these two need to line up, into the gooseneck, like so. Now here is another little hint. This is your adjustment knob for what I call the front end alignment, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Well, you get your appropriate Allen wrench. Again, they're all in your tool bag, wherever the tool bag is. You have all these tools in here, but in the interest of time, I'm using my tools. What I recommend that you do is you make it just a little bit snug, and I'll explain why. I don't want it jumping around as I'm aligning the front end. Then we go ahead and put that down. Now we straighten the handlebars to where we want them. By the way, if your scooter ever gets a little bit counterwampus, you now know how to fix that. Okay, I have it where I want it, so I'm going to go ahead and once again open up this section, and now what I will do is tighten that up. Actually, I don't think I had it snug enough. We'll see. Let me just check this alignment one more time before I finish it off. That looks pretty good. It's as much art as science on this part. Okay, that looks like she's aligned well with my front tire. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to torque this down. Now, you don't have to break it, but make it good and snug. Now my front end is on. I'm going to tighten this up just to take the play out of it. Close this off. I always work from back to front. That way I don't forget anything. Yes, I know we haven't even put the two halves together. I'll get to that. But while I'm standing here in front of the scooter, I go ahead and put my headlight on. Like so. Whoops. Too much coffee. There we go. There we go. I loosen those screws enough to where they release. I carefully open up. I carefully open up. Wrap that around like so. Now I go ahead and tighten this. I like to leave mine just snug because I like to be able to turn my headlight up and down, but that's up to you. You don't have to make these completely closed, in other words. That's to your discretion. There we go. Okay. The next thing that I do, again, working front to back, I go ahead from shipping and move my basket bracket forward. And now I will find my basket. Where's the basket? Okay, we've got our basket. We're going to put that on next. But before I go further, I want a little sidebar here. This little box is what contains your cell phone holder and charger. I told you we unwrapped everything. This is kind of easy to miss. So if you did get a Super Eagle or a Raptor, which have the cell phone with the charging port, make sure that you don't inadvertently throw this box away. Just wanted to point that out. While I'm on the topic, strong recommendation for everyone. I highly recommend that you order. I highly recommend that you order another tire. Get the whole assembly, and here's why. We sold the tubes and the tires, but if should you be out somewhere on vacation for the weekend and you get a flat tire, instead of waiting or searching for tubes locally or waiting for us to ship them to you, it's good to have a whole assembly where you can just basically unbolt the flat tire and put a new one on while you wait for your tubes and or tires. So that's a good little hint, as well as a cover. Keeps your scooter looking well. Okay, back to the basket. Here's how we install it. You've got your basket hardware. It's in your toolkit in a little cellophane bag. Now here's a little hint. You get a couple of washers, whatever kind, and what I do, this part here goes on the back. So the front two holes, I go ahead and get one started. It makes it easier when I put the second one on when I already have this in place. So I grab my screw and my washer for the second hole, and I go ahead, and you see this little piece here, it goes around that bar. It has a little hollow piece there. Anyway, but see, that's already hanging there for me. That's one less thing that I have to handle. Now I go ahead and put in my second screw and washer. Very, very simple. Okay. At any rate, here we go. No, wrong way, Peach Fuzz. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Here we go. So I go ahead and tighten that down like that. Okay. That holds the basket in place. Now I get the rest of the bracket. This piece here, a screw and a nut. You'll probably have an extra set of these. Throw them in your tool bag in case you lose one. So what you can do is then put this like that, put a screw, you drop your screw, then you pick it up, then you put it through here, and then through the back here. Look, honey, go back here. Like that, okay? You go ahead and put your nut on, like so. There we go. And then we get that started. We go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Putting the screw through there. And we get that started. Now, if I can get that another one there, I'll be a happy camper. Okay. Once we have that on, so easy a 3-year-old could do it. There you go. Alrighty. Then we get our wrench. We hold the back of it, and we tighten up the screw. Okay. And we do the same on the other side. Your basket's on. We're halfway done. Now, why I put this here, it helps align the two holes so you're not trying to balance the two or hold two pieces together. So you kind of eyeball it, get it so that the hole looks like it's straight. You may have to lift up on it, and then you just kind of wiggle it till it goes through the other side. No big deal. We do the same on the bottom. Then of course we put these large nuts on the other side. Mine and yours. I'm using power tools just to save myself some time. Okay. Now I finish it off. Now these nuts, you can go ahead and tighten them down really, really good. Again, you have all these wrenches in your toolkit. I'm just using my own tools. Let me tighten that up. Now I go back to the other one and tighten it again. Good and good and good and tight. Now this is very important. Come around to this side, please. These two screws here, the ones I told you to make sure that they were not protruding on the inside before you slide the pipe in. You go ahead and tighten these, but be mindful. You want them snug, about as tight as you can make it with one finger. You do not want to, you can wring these off if you try to make them too tight. The purpose of these two screws is to take play out of the bike moving this way, the frame, the gooseneck moving, or I should say the frame moving front and back. So, you just tighten those good and snug. You're not trying to make them go flat. They're basically a retaining screw. So our bike is almost all together. Now I'm going to show you how to take the battery cover off. Many of you will probably go ahead and just peel this plastic. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I hate to have the little plastic frillies around the bottom edges. So I'll show you how to take the cover off to peel the plastic from the inside. Now you've got 4 screws, 2 in the back, 1 on either side in the front. 4 screws is what's holding this battery cover on. Now, little hint as I drop my screw. Okay, you squeeze in a little bit here, you'll see why in a moment, and then you lift it up this way very carefully. See, these have retaining clips that go this way and that way, and these have little edges that go back. That's why when we go in, we go this way. Now, many times when you pull this off, this will fall off and you'll hear a ding, fall off into the scooter, like so. You'll pull this up and it will be gone. Well, you can shake the scooter to get it out, or what I've learned to do, if that happens, I have a magnet. And very quickly, it finds it. So, you simply peel off the plastic. It's like Christmas time. Okay. Now be mindful, when you get close to here, kind of be a little bit ginger, because you don't want to inadvertently peel off the laminate off the 5-star scooter label. So, then, by the way, the hole on the outside, if a clip does fall off, and the part that the screw screws into on the inside, what I do is squeeze them back together and put them on, so that if I were to try to put this cover on, they don't fall off on me, and then I have to do it all over again. And again, in reverse, I put the back in like this, I squeeze the 2 fronts in, like so, and I simply put the screws back in. Just make them good and snug. Again, you are pulling into essentially plastic and a thin metal clip, which is all that's necessary. But you don't have to go crazy on these guys. We are just about finished, other than putting the seat on. And of course our cell phone holder. Okay, we're done to that point. Now, for your wires, the one with the 2, and this is the power, they go on the inside. They're keyed specifically, so don't force them. The little slot, as you see, that will go towards the bottom, a little helpful hint. See, that went in there, but if you notice, it won't go in here, so I don't try to force it. That goes in right there. We go ahead and we do like that. Probably not the worst idea in the world, not necessary, but a little hint for you mechanically inclined. Put a little dielectric grease on there, won't hurt a thing. Helps keep the moisture out, that sort of a thing. Okay. And the scooter will now run. Okay. Now, we're going to do the seat. And then we'll do the cell phone holder. I'm going to put my cell phone holder parts up here for now. And let's go ahead and work on the seat. Many of you either get a high back or a box back, and I'll show you how to put those on. Not that you really need the instruction, but give you a couple helpful hints to keep you from having to redo it. Again, benefit of my experience. You set your seat down. The screws are already in the back that you'll need of the seat itself. So the back goes out, like so. Now here's a helpful hint. Make this part here face toward the point of the seat. Ask me how I know to do that and why I mentioned that. Because I've put it on backwards many times only to have them to pull it apart. Oh, now if you didn't have a seat back, this is all you'd have to do, but most of you get a high back or a box back. So, in this case, we're going to do the high back. The high back bracket, before you take the screws out, before you put them back in, you go ahead and marry the two like so. Okay, I'll get them started. Like that. Okay, there you go. Like that. Then I go ahead and tighten them up. Now, before I put the high back on itself, here's a little hint. Your seat post bracket, I go ahead and put that on now. The reason I do that is so that I can, on the first try, go ahead and line up the seat properly once I put it on. I'll show you what I mean. There we go. Now, I just eyeball that like that, so my seat's in the proper orientation, and then I go ahead and tighten with my Allen wrench the 2 screws on the clamp. It's a pressure clamp. If you want the seat to swivel, I don't recommend it, but you could leave them a little bit loose. Now keep in mind with this type of a clamp, after you tighten one, you can now tighten the other one. They kind of work together. So you can go ahead and get those nice and snug. Make sure your Allen wrench is in there. There you go. Alrighty. Now, we'll go ahead, stay right there. I'll go out of frame for a second. I'm back. Here we go. Now we're going to put the high back on. Plus, in my opinion, it's easier now to do it this way anyway. You've got the 3 holes in the back here. I just get them started like so. Like so. And then, of course, tighten them up. Okay, we are in the home stretch. I throw my charger in my protocol, not yours. I throw them in a basket to keep everything together, but of course you'll put those in a safe place. Now, over to this part here, the final step. A little hint, these are spacers because this, pardon me, this is a wider diameter than the handlebar is. Plus it keeps it, the rubber keeps it from spinning is why we did this. It acts as a bushing as well as a spacer. A little hint, folks, if you cut off about, a little more than a 1/4 inch, I can tell you that that is the right length for it to go around the handlebar without overlapping itself. Now, this here, little hint again. There is a square section here that goes into the square section here. To get it started, of course, you first have to get the screw in here before that ever seats itself, just to get the screw started, okay? Now, here's my hint. Do you see how that is not lined up because of that gap? Now it just seated itself. Now tighten this down. If you were to tighten that screw before it was seated, it's very difficult to get off. It doesn't happen often, but it is possible, because what happens is the inside will keep spinning as you're trying to take it off. But anyway, that's all that you do there. We're going to take the 2 pieces as well as the screw. I like to go on the power level side, because if you put it over here, in my view, it interferes with this and with the throttle. So put it on the left side, but again, it's your discretion. This bracket, you can spin it around so that the wire clip, which the wire goes on the top part, goes like that. We go ahead and spread these like so. I have my screw ready. Now, this will take just a little bit of practice for you, but what I do, I wrap it around. That's about where I want it on that bend. Then I go ahead, I spread it with my finger and thumb. And then you see what I mean? If you look in here, how it is the proper length now to where the rubber won't overlap itself, making it difficult to clamp this. I go ahead and spin the whole unit. I put the screw in from the bottom. I tighten it with my fingers. And then, of course, you position it where you want it, and then you tighten this to hold your phone up. I always recommend you have your phone up a little bit more like this instead of like this, so if you hit a bump, it doesn't want to jump out of there. The final step, folks, we go ahead. These are pre-wired. We go ahead and get the wire out of here. Now there's a little ledge right there, if you can see that or not. In other words, don't force it. That goes on the clip side, okay? So, like so, it will go together very easily until it snaps into place. And what I like to do is to go ahead and tuck this carefully, out of sight, out of mind, never to be heard from again, because these things rarely go bad. And you go. Voila, you have an easily assembled scooter. Remember to order a back tire for yourself, a whole assembly, and a cover to keep your scooter looking nice, especially the back tire assembly. My little hint, I can put one of these together in about 36 minutes. Hopefully this video will help. You can fast forward through all of my bad jokes. But other than that, enjoy your scooters. They're going to change your life. Thank you so much. Guys, we're having a problem. This piece here is failing. It's spinning within the pipe. This one, on this Excalibur, not too bad. We're having a chronic problem on the Raptors. But I'm going to go ahead, since I already fixed the other ones, make a better, my video was all jumpy. I want to go ahead and show you what we're doing. I'm going to do it to the Excalibur. No matter how tight you make this piece, this collar is spinning. The little teeth that's in there is jumping out of the hole. And I worked all day yesterday to try to modify it, and here's what I've come up with. So this is, and I'll show you the package on these. You can get these at Home Depot. It's a self-tapping, self-screwing, self-drilling, excuse me, drill. Sweetie, come over on this other side here. Okay, thank you. You may as well use the hole that's already here, because what we're gonna do, we're gonna drill through this and we're gonna drill through the pipe, and that son of a gun ain't going nowhere, okay? So, get your drill, the appropriate hex head, put a little pressure on it, high speed, you're drilling metal, and there it goes. Okay? That son of a gun ain't going nowhere. Now, you won't be able to raise and lower this, but I'm going to tell you, on my Raptor, which I drive all the time, you know, as you can see, show this. I already fixed this one. My Raptor that I drive all the time, I'm 6 foot, I'm 6'1" when I stand up straight. I've never raised and lowered this handlebar. When we get this situation corrected, we're going to send customers, if they want a new pipe, but I can tell you they probably won't care after you do this, because as I said, in 6 years, I've never raised or lowered this. All right, let's go over here. Let me show you the package. I've got my assistant filming. Nice young lady. Let's see, here we go. You can get these at Home Depot. They're like $1 a pack. You got that in there good? Excellent. All right, great job. Thank you, dear. So anyway, you want to do that for safety's sake, because what we don't want is that stupid collar to fail, that piece of plastic to fail, and then for that handlebar to spin, and the tire's not spinning or the wheel's not spinning. Thanks.